Welcome to Your Mac Life. This is, especially for Mosquito Show, episode number 920. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I'm Shawn King. This is Your Mac Life. Thank you, folks, for being here on this Wednesday evening. It is the day before the Olympics start. Yay! I'm very excited about the Olympics because I'm Canadian, and it means we can win something. There's going to be a few things that we'll be able to win. So I'm very, very excited about the Olympics. We've been talking about it in the IRC chat room ahead of time. One of the things that Monty says, I can only imagine what an effectively third world country like Sochi is going to have to contend with when it comes to the Olympics and possible danger and terror attacks. Monty, the only good news with regards to this is that the Russian security forces don't have the same, let's say, constitutional requirements that America does, so they can be much more draconian when it comes to the things they can do. I think the Olympics are going to be, as we said earlier, an epic disaster from the point of view of coverage, from the point of view of the media, from the point of view of fans trying to get around, things like that. Fingers crossed, these will only be major on the point of the media and minor with regards to the athletes and the actual events. I don't think so, though. I'm really worried that something is going to happen that will make an athlete unprepared or unable, or a timing screen will go wrong or things like that. That's my concern when it comes to the Olympics. As always, we want you guys to join us on the show. We have a Google Hangout going on. If you want to watch the show live, watch the video live, you can go to our website at yourmaclifeshow.com. Right there on the front page is the YouTube video. And there's also a link to the Google Hangout if you want to watch the show via Google, and also a link to the IRC chat room. Our friend Monty set up IRC for you folks who are not IRC aficionados or experts. You can join the IRC right from there. You don't need to know anything. Just put in a nickname and it'll automatically drop you in the IRC chat room, and the folks in the IRC will welcome you with open arms. It's been a while. I want to welcome Patty and Jimmy Newton are back in the IRC chat room. They haven't been around for a while, but wanted to say hi to them. Patty joined because she thought today was the 20th anniversary show. Sorry, Patty, it's not. That's on March 19th. And Brian and I discussed it earlier. It's the 20th anniversary of Macintosh internet broadcasting. It's not podcasting, because I was doing the show long before podcasting was even a word. Adam Curry came up with the name podcasting, I think, in 2004. Someone do a Wikipedia search on podcasting and find out when the word actually was coined first. And I've been doing a show since 1994. We were doing a real audio at the time, but it was still a broadcast. It wasn't a podcast. So the anniversary will be March 19th. I sent an email out over the weekend and got some great response from a lot of companies. I want to say a big thank you to the companies who are so far signed up, and we'll have more companies signed up, but I want to give props out to these first batch. Thanks very much to the nice folks at padandquill.com. They're giving away 2 little pocket books for the iPhone 5 and 5S. The folks at Glovely are giving away 5 pairs of the classic touchscreen gloves. Smile Software is giving away 1 PDF Pen family pack, a license to PDF Pen Pro for the Mac, and promo codes for PDF Pen for iPad, PDF Pen for iPhone, and PDF Pen Scan Plus for iOS. And also a copy of Text Expander for Mac and iOS. Tidbits is giving away a 1-year subscription to the entire Take Control library. That's every single book they have done ever, full access for a year. MacFun is giving away 3 creative kits. It's a bundle consisting of Snap Heal Pro and Intensify Pro. Scotty Vest is giving away a Sev Pack jacket. The folks at Danny P are giving a leather wallet with iPhone for the iPhone 5. And Pixelmator is giving away 5 copies of Pixelmator. So that's the first batch of companies that are giving stuff away to you lucky Your Mac Life listeners. So thanks very much to them for doing that. I really appreciate it. So on tonight's show, we'll be talking to our good friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. We still haven't fixed Jim's video issue, so he'll be audio only. We've got an interview with Pat and Quill. Brian Holmes is Mr. Pat and Quill. They're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he was kind enough to do a pre-recorded interview with me yesterday. So we'll do that on tonight's show. We'll also talk about Super Bowl ads. What did you guys think of the Super Bowl ads? The game, great if you're a Seattle fan. Awful if you were a Denver Broncos fan. And probably kind of meh if you were just a fan of neither team and just wanted to watch a good football game, because it was not a good football game. It was not. I mean, 12 seconds in to both halves and Seattle scores. Yeah, it was a nightmare. A lot of folks don't realize this, but for us here in Canada, we don't get to see the Super Bowl ads. We didn't get to see an original ad until sometime in midway through the second quarter. We got the same old ads we get in every other broadcast. We got old ads for Tim Hortons and old ads for toilet tissue and old ads for muffler shops. There's this weird Canadian content rule. The Canadian Radio and Television and Communication, I guess our version of the FCC, says that even if you're watching the American station, I was watching Fox, I was watching the Fox affiliate that we can get here in Vancouver, and this is true for everyone in Canada. Even though we were watching the Fox broadcast of the show, when they cut to commercial, the Canadian station, CTV in this case, is allowed by law to cut out the American commercials and drop in Canadian commercials. Oh my God, that's annoying. I get it. If you're watching the CTV channel, that's fine. You can do that. But if I'm watching the Fox frickin' channel, let me see the Fox frickin' commercials. So while everybody was on Twitter was talking about Bob Dylan and Maserati and Coke and all that kind of stuff, us Canadians couldn't see any of those things. So I didn't see any of that stuff until well after the game was over. But I did do a little write-up on my other website, Diary of a Madman, about what I saw as my favorite Super Bowl commercials. And we'll talk to Jim Dalrymple about that too, and we'll get you guys' impressions. The Scientology ad, weird and out of place. It just didn't seem to be the spot for a Scientology ad. Now, whether you like or dislike or agree or disagree with what Scientology represents, for them to have an ad during the Super Bowl just seemed really odd, just completely out of place. The ad for the most out of place ad, the ad with the fewest potential customers had to be the Maserati ad. I watched the Maserati ad on YouTube, and first of all, I thought it was a dumb ad. But secondly, I thought, why are you advertising the Super Bowl? I could see maybe you advertising on the Oscars, but the Super Bowl? That makes no sense. You've got like 10 customers. Now, granted, if they all buy a Maserati, you paid for the ad, but it still just seemed kind of strange. The ad with the best small print was actually for Canadian beer, Labatt's. And the small print on the ad was very funny, and it was talking about the stunt bear. They had a bear in the commercials. So that was kind of funny. The ad with the stupidest opening line, and the ad that made middle-aged white guys lose their shit, was the same ad. It was a Dylan ad. People, I saw it on Twitter and just started laughing. People going, Dylan's selling out. Blah, blah, blah. But the opening line was, "Is there anything more American than America?" Who wrote that? Is that the stupidest line you've ever heard? No, there's not. You know why? Because it's America. It's a dumb line. Sherry, I love that line. Well, yeah, no, wait, no, you're not American. You're Canadian. It's just dumb. I'm sorry, it's just a dumb ad. I like the commercial. And I had an interesting conversation with an ad guy about it, talking about the sellout aspect of it. We'll talk to Jim Dalrymple about that a little bit later. The weirdest commercial, or the only commercial of cows having sex that hopefully you'll ever have to watch, was that weird Chevy Silverado ad. The ad was about cow sex. It wasn't about Chevy Silverado. It was about cow sex. It was just weird. Just absolutely weird. the saddest commercial having Morpheus come out of retirement had to be that Kia ad. It's like, couldn't you find something better for Morpheus to come out of retirement for than that ad? It just seemed kind of lame to me. Although, and the only ad that made me laugh out loud was the Radio Shack ad. If only because I'm of an age where I recognize all those people. Hulk Hogan and the guy from Twisted, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, and Mary Lou Retton, and the slime monster from Ghostbusters. It was all just kind of funny little 80s touchstones. I thought that was a cute ad. The second funniest ad though had to be the Dober How How. Sorry, Dober Wawa. The Dober Wawa one just cracked me up. The idea of putting a Doberman's head on a Chihuahua's body and then the dog going insane and attacking people just cracks me up. The commercial you can spot racists with. Turns out there was two of them. There was the Cheerio ad with Gracie, who was so cute. But I saw that as soon as I saw that ad, I went, "Wow, that was an ad from I think last year." I remember that thinking last year, that's very brave. Unfortunately, you have to describe it that way. Brave of Cheerios to have that multiracial family. So I'm very glad to see that they came back and brought the family back. But the idea of all these people just losing their minds over the Coca-Cola ad, simply because Coca-Cola, the America the Beautiful was sung in different languages. It's idiotic. That's utterly insane. Do people realize America the Beautiful, the song, was written by A woman, and B, a lesbian? Okay, if you want to lose your mind, there's something you can start with. But anybody complaining about the Coke ad and the fact that it was America the Beautiful sung by other nationalities, unless you're a Native American, shut the hell up. America is a country of immigrants. That's one of the reasons why it's a great country. It's this, as the people kept pointing out, the Statue of Liberty. Bring me your tired, poor, huddled masses. That's what the country was built on. But I got to say, kudos to Microsoft. The Microsoft ad, while it was very derivative of an Apple ad, was a very good ad. I think it was one of the better ads. Looks like we got our friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com joining us. Let's see if I got Jim's mic open. Jim, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, God, it worked the first time. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We got no video for Jim tonight, but that's good. That's okay. I'm okay with that as long as we have the sound of your voice. Did you watch the game on Sunday?
I didn't.
How come?
I don't watch football.
Okay, thanks for joining us. It has been Jim. The hell you mean don't watch football?
Don't
you watch
football.
Soccer?
Yeah, that's a good game.
Okay, I don't even want to go down this rabbit hole with you.
They play more than 11 minutes a game. They actually go out and run around for 90 minutes.
I actually did that in my stats class back in college, when I sat down and wanted to see how long they actually play football for in a 3-hour game. And it's funny because this popped up about 2 or 3 months ago, and I remember the stats class. I remember the numbers, and they're the same. That for a 3-hour game, they were actually physically moving for about 11 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Each play averaged about 5 seconds. The vast majority of football is a complete waste of frickin' time.
I used to watch it. I
Yeah.
used to watch it quite a bit, but then life got in the way, and it's just nothing that I went back to. Of course, I still watch hockey.
Well, yeah, you have to. That's why you get your passport.
Yeah, they'd revoke the passport if you didn't watch hockey.
Exactly, and rightfully so. Goddamn.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you go back to YouTube or any other place to look at the commercials?
No.
Jesus.
I just, I'm over that. For the years that I was watching the Super Bowl and football, I mean, you see all the stuff that they come out with, and that's when GoDaddy was coming out with those. I remember those commercials, and of course Coke always had them, and Pepsi, and Michael Jackson lighting himself on fire, and
You're killing me.
I know. I don't know what to tell you.
it's the cultural event of the year, and what that says about our society is something we just don't want to get into. But it's and you didn't even bother to watch the game, and you don't bother to watch billions of dollars worth of commercials.
No.
There's a whole segment of the show I can't talk to you about now.
You can talk to me about it. I just won't answer.
Well, that'll be fun.
I will tell you I was surprised that Denver didn't win.
No, we're not talking about the game. You don't know anything about the football. You don't know anything about the football.
Going into it, I thought Manning was going to just beat them to death. I really did.
Well, you know what? I didn't think that. I thought it was going to be a good, close game because the number one offense against the number one defense. I thought this is going to be an exciting game. I did not think that either Denver would be so unprepared for Seattle, or that Seattle would just be so insanely prepared for Denver. I mean, they knew what Denver was going to do before Denver knew what they were going to do.
Yeah, it was that part of it. I looked at the score when I went to bed, and I went, "Oh my God, that must have been a pathetic game." You know, it's not like the games when the Bears were playing.
Yep.
I mean, those were like hockey games, 3-3. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Dave D in the RC chat room says, "But Jim watches the Bruins. Doesn't he get his passport revoked for that? Why are you a Bruins fan?"
I'm a huge Bruins fan.
You're a monster for your fans. Why are you a Bruins fan?
My father likes Montreal, and, and he liked Montreal from, you know, I remember as a kid laying on the couch with my father watching Hockey Night in Canada, and Montreal would be playing Boston, and he liked Montreal, so I liked Boston. And then, you know, then Bobby Orr and, you know, Phil Esposito and all those guys. So you're saying you've been a contrarian since a very early age. Yes.
Because most people will, especially when it comes to sports, they'll like the same sport or the same team that their dad does. Ian Schray in Portland, he's a Boston Red Sox fan because his dad was a Red Sox fan.
No.
But you went the other way around.
Yeah.
Even though, as a kid, you would have, if your dad was a fan of the Canadians, you would have gone to Voyageurs games in the Halifax Forum.
That's true.
You would have seen Guy Lafleur and Ken Dryden and those guys play.
Very true.
And yet you're still a Bruins fan.
Absolutely.
Good Lord, man. See, that's why I'm a Canadiens fan, is because of the Voyageurs. When I was a kid and going to the old Halifax Forum and then the Metro Center in Halifax, for those folks who aren't familiar, the Voyageurs, what are they called now, the Mooseheads?
No, they don't have they were an AHL team.
Oh, there's no AHL team in Halifax anymore?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
No.
Anyway, the farm team for the Montreal Canadiens was in Halifax when Jim and I were kids. And so we would see the guys that were either coming up to the big club or going down from the big club. That was our professional hockey team was the Nova Scotia Voyageurs.
Yeah. Not anymore.
I didn't realize they didn't have a team. That's too bad.
Every once in a while, preseason games, Montreal will play Boston here.
Yeah.
There's more fights in the stands than there are on the on the ice. You know, one thing I thought was really funny. They brought a guy up. Boston brought a guy up this year for training camp.
Yeah.
And he was fighting his Bruins teammates. I mean, this guy really wanted to make the team. He picked out the fighter on the Bruins, and he fought him in practice.
That's one of the reasons why, out of all the sports, the only preseason games I would go to is hockey.
Yeah.
Because you have guys who are willing to do anything to make the team.
Yeah, I mean, he's fighting his own players. I thought that was pretty good. I would have put him on the team just for that.
Hell yes. All right, so we'll move on from Super Bowl commercials and the game. Microsoft announced the CEO hiring of a brown guy. Does that surprise you?
Of what?
Of a brown guy.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
What do you think this hiring of this particular person and Bill Gates stepping down from his chairmanship mean for Microsoft? Is this saving the company? Is this the company continuing on the way it's going to? Do you see it rising from not the ashes, but becoming somewhat of what it used to be, or is it just not going to matter?
Almost ashes, I think.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm a little disappointed, just in that I had hoped that Microsoft would get somebody with, I don't know, some vision, and try and help them out of the doldrums that they've been in for the last decade or 15 years. And I don't know that this is the guy. Obviously, this guy is really, really smart.
Sure.
I mean, he built Azure, and that's a profitable thing for them. He knows what he's doing. There's no doubt about that. But I think that Microsoft really needs somebody to help them, not with enterprise software, not with the cloud, but with the vision of how it all comes together. And as far as I can see, they're still missing that.
Yeah.
And that part kind of bothers me. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting, again, to be talking about how innovative Microsoft is? I don't know that we've ever said that, but wouldn't it be interesting if we could?
I was just sort of thinking the same thing. It's like, when have we ever said that about Microsoft?
I think that would make for some really great conversations going forward. But I just don't see that we're going to be able to do that. I don't know how do you say his name? Nadella?
Nadella.
Nadella.
I think it's Satya Nadella.
Okay. So is he going to be able to bring the future of mobile to Microsoft? I mean, first of all, Microsoft is saddled with Nokia.
Yep.
So he's not stepping into an easy job. He's got a very, very tough job ahead of him. But, what he said in that email the other day about how Microsoft is positioned to be the only one to have software and hardware and put it on devices. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was disappointing. It definitely was. I read that, and immediately I thought, yeah, no, he's not the guy.
Yeah.
He's not the guy. If first of all, when his name was announced, and congratulations to the folks at Recode, Kara Swisher broke the rumor late last week. When I saw that he was the server guy, I thought, oh, that's not what Microsoft needs. Server guys, yeah, he's smart, he knows enterprise, and if that's the direction they're going to take the company, okay, great. As I think Mosquito says in the RC chat room, I'm truly hoping Microsoft sticks with its strengths and focuses on server stuff and drops consumer software entirely. I don't think that's going to happen, but if that's where he's going to go, okay, good for them. The problem is he's just become the captain of one of the largest ocean liners in the world, and it's going to take him a couple days, metaphorically speaking, to slow this thing down and turn it around.
Yeah.
This is a gigantic behemoth of a company. This is not a light, quick startup of a company. This guy's going to take at least 6 months to figure out what the hell's going on, what he can do, what he can't do, whose toes he can step on, whose toes he can't. Will Bill Gates be a help or impediment? I think Ballmer's completely out of the picture, no matter what job title they may or may not give him. But yeah, when I read the usual marketing fluff that someone else had written for him and that he just signed his name to, I thought, yeah, this is not going to go the way you guys need it to go.
Yeah. We'll see. It may. Maybe he's going to step back from all of that and, say, okay, then this is what we're going to do and it's going to be great. It could happen. You can't, like you said, somebody else writes the stuff and he puts his name to it, and I don't agree with what he said. I think I would have been a bit more honest.
Yeah.
Obviously he has to be upbeat. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. Be upbeat. Don't trash Bill and Bill, or Bill and Steve.
Yeah.
But be upbeat. But yeah, it just went a bit too far for my liking.
If they had given me the gig, I would have said, look, I'm going to do this my own way. I'm going to either crash and burn on my own terms or be a success on my own terms. You guys don't say anything to me at all for 3 months. I don't want to hear from Gates. I don't want to hear from Ballmer. I don't want to hear from anybody. for 3 months. I'm an insider of this company. I know how things work. I know where the skeletons are buried. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to cut what I want to cut. I'm going to promote what I want to promote. And just be, well, for lack of a better term, a Steve Jobs for the first 3 to 6 months. Because remember, that's what Jobs did when he came back. He fired a buttload of people. He got rid of almost the entire board of directors. And cleaned house of the executive washroom. I mean, he took in a lot of keys. There was a lot of guys peeing in their baskets because they had nowhere to go pee.
Yeah, and I think that's what needed to be done, and I think that's probably what needs to be done here.
Yeah.
You know, if he's not going to be the visionary, he needs somebody else to be the visionary for him.
True. Yeah, it would be nice to see him have a Johnny Ive to his Tim Cook.
Right.
But I don't see, if Microsoft couldn't do that with Ballmer, they're not going to be able to do it with this guy.
Well, maybe Ballmer, you know, wanted to be both.
Yeah.
And wouldn't take advice from other people. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot going on that we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this guy's going to come in and say, you know what, I am a server guy. I am very smart. And yes, I can run this company.
Yeah.
So give me a Scott Forstall.
Yeah.
And let him be the visionary, and you know, I'll stamp things or say no. They need.
Where'd you go, Jim? We lost you at they need. Come on, what they need what? Jim. Could someone tweet or instant message Jim? Or, oh, there you go. You're back.
No, there it is. Okay.
Okay. You, sorry.
What they have right now is not it. This is not what they need.
Yeah.
Well, no, I should clarify that. They do need a strong leader.
Sure.
They do need a very smart guy at the top to know, you know, no, you can't put any crap on me. Because I know better. So here's how things are going to run. But, you know, you need somebody to be thinking ahead 5 years and not thinking of the kin or the courier.
Yeah, I don't know. Microsoft's not going to disappear overnight. They're not going to disappear in the next 10 years. But they certainly are losing relevance very, very quickly, at least to the consumer market. Their enterprise, from what I understand, is quite strong, and their cloud presence can be quite strong. So if that's where they're going, we may never hear about them again from a consumer point of view. But
I don't think that's where they're going. They can't ignore consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't. It's not possible for them. And besides, whether he wanted to or not, at this point, he's straddled with Nokia anyway.
Sure. But he could sell to Lenovo.
Well, Lenovo seems to be buying everything.
Kidding.
I'm thinking of digging up my old BlackBerry and selling that to Lenovo.
Let's move on to the Olympics. Have you been watching the what seems to be the pre-disaster of the Sochi Olympics?
Isn't that funny?
Oh my God! Can you imagine being over
yes.
there?
My water is off. Yes, and when it comes back on, don't put it on your face. It has dangerous stuff on it. What?
What? There are wild stray dogs running all over the place. There's uncovered potholes. There are hotel rooms that aren't hotel rooms. They're just Oh my God! Now, luckily, this seems to be mostly from a media point of view. I haven't heard too much in the way of complaints from athletes having the same kind of conditions. The athletes, the rooms are small and they're crowded and it might be a little bit cramped. So we haven't heard those kind of horror stories from athletes.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of good news. The issue, I think, though, is how is this obvious unpreparedness? Is this going to be just with the media? And so therefore we'll only hear the media whining about no internet access and no running water. You know, I feel bad for them, but not a whole lot bad. But if this starts affecting the athletes, which you got to believe it's going to, don't you, Jim?
Well, I mean, you know, what do they call it? The Olympic Village or something where the athletes live.
Yeah.
You would have to think that was taken care of before. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying that was taken care of before.
Yeah.
So let's say that the athletes don't. It's still pretty poor planning.
Yeah.
That, you know, the media, of all people, the media, the ones that are writing about this, don't have running water or don't have internet access or whatever. You know, I mean, I did you see that tweet from the CNN guy? He was begging one of the organizers for help. You know? I mean,
I saw another one that the guy was bragging about the fact that he had 3 door handles. He was willing to trade them for 1 glass of water. Like, there's this barter system going on. Or,
oh my God! And then the one guy said, "I don't have any water, but I have this nice picture of Putin on my desk."
And the thing is, though, you know, there's a lot of complaints about the fact that it's in a fairly warm city. Vancouver was a warm city too, so that's got nothing to do with it. But this is something for folks who have been following and know about Russia, have known from the very beginning that this was going to happen. Russians are not known for being able to do these kinds of events. It's just not in their nature as a people to be able to do this stuff. The game should never have been given, not to Sochi, but to Russia.
Well, we'll see how it all turns out. I mean, you know, we're going to be hearing about it now. And the unfortunate part for Russia at this point is now no matter what happens, it's going to get blown out of proportion.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, if the water goes off in one single hotel room during the whole Olympic Games, it's going to be a major catastrophe.
I just hope that it doesn't affect the actual competition. I mean, I have, the nightmare scenario is the speed skating oval. In the gold medal match, the power goes out, or the ice isn't right for the curling rink, or something happens in the figure skating arena where someone falls and hurts themselves badly because
curling isn't a real sport anyway.
Hey, now it's only one of the few medals we can win. Shut up.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm telling you. Are you from another country? Because you don't like the same things the rest of us like.
I was telling Michael, my son, last night. I said, we better not do what we did in the hockey, the World Juniors, and suck out really bad.
Yeah.
Because I can send, you know, as a Canadian, all of these people over for the Olympics, and if the bobsledder gets 12th, I'm excited for him.
That's right.
You know, woohoo! I'll stand up and cheer. And if the ski jumper doesn't fall, that's a win. That's as good as a gold medal right there.
But isn't that a good thing?
But if we don't win hockey,
oh God, yeah,
look out.
Yeah, it's the one thing. What Jim's saying, folks, is that as Canadians, we are proud that our athletes compete. We're proud that they get, do personal best. We're proud that they come in 4th. You're 4th best in the world. That's freaking fantastic. But when it comes to hockey, it's gold or nothing.
Yeah.
We are so American when it comes to that.
Silver
is the first loser.
Yeah, silver means you lost. Who cares?
Exactly. We don't care.
I don't care about you.
That's right.
You're a loser. But you got 12th in bobsled. All right, man. Yeah, go for it.
But I think part of that Canadian attitude is because we don't win at those things. I think our true competitive nature comes out in hockey. That we would be very American if we were good at biathlon, if we were good at ski jumping, if we were good at those other sports.
But
we would turn into Americans in a heartbeat.
We don't try and be good at those things, though.
True.
We know that we're only good at one thing, and we cheer for that one thing. Now, we don't even give the other Olympians any money. It all goes to hockey, But you want to be in bobsled? Yeah, that's nice. See ya.
Good for you.
But yeah, I mean, if we don't win in hockey, I'm telling you, I'll be burning the igloos down all over the town.
There's the other. I think another thing I don't think our American friends realize is, and I only realized this when I moved to the States and was living there for so long, how comparatively annoying and awful NBC coverage is of the
Oh,
Olympics.
my God. Well, first of all, it's delayed by like a month.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but in Canada, during the last Olympics, I had 5 channels of live coverage
Yep.
all day long.
Yep.
And these are the, you know, they weren't only the big sports networks. You had, you know, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, which is, you know, the Canadian version of BBC. You did have some BBC.
Yep.
You know, you've got the sports networks that are carrying, and that's what's on all day long and all
Yep.
night.
Yep.
And you know, then you're looking at the American TV, and they have like 2 hours of highlights.
Yeah.
Unless the American did bad, and then they wouldn't show it at all. I don't know. They don't want to demoralize the fatherland or what? I don't know.
I'm on the CBC Olympics website for the TV broadcast at 2 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday, the day before the Olympic ceremonies. They are broadcasting cross-country skiing ladies 7.5 km skiathlon.
Yeah. I mean, we're permanently in a permafrost here, and we don't even care about that.
But we're still showing it live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. Now, it's interesting, though. I've been reading, I knew I was going to ask you this question, but reading the comments from the folks at NBC, their argument is, if you want to watch live sports, it's online. They are broadcasting everything live online. So if you want to watch the ladies skiathlon, I didn't know what the hell a skiathlon is, but if you want to watch that at 2 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday morning, you can still watch it live on NBCOlympics.com. What they're saying is, during the evenings, during prime time in the evenings, and this was the most disturbing thing I've read, they want to have the pre-recorded stuff presented so they can edit it to tell better stories, as opposed to it being a live sporting event. Wait, what? It is a live sporting event.
Yeah.
You can't edit it to tell a story.
Yeah, it's not a story. The story unfolds live.
You can't then sort of manipulate the story to get more drama into it. I see the Americans do this all the time. You'll see that they'll have the listings of the top qualifiers, and they'll have 1, 2, 3, and then in the 4th spot they'll have 16th America. No, what happened to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Drives me insane when they do that.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, so is there any, besides hockey, is there any other particular sports you're looking forward to watching the Winter Olympics?
I actually watch a lot of the Olympics.
Yeah, me too. But is there something in particular you want to watch?
No, nothing. To be honest, I do kind of enjoy the bobsled races and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, because those guys are hurtling down a mountain at you know, well, usually it's in ice. Who knows what we're going to have in Russia? They may just put, you know, like spray Lysol or something on it and make it slippery. But these guys are going like 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
You know, so those are. I just have it on all the time. I really enjoy.
It's interesting. Interesting. You said bobsled. Why wouldn't you pick something even more insane and dangerous like luge or the bizarre two-man skeleton?
Oh yeah, I like those too.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and these guys that go running beside their sled, their little that big boat thing, they go running beside it and then they hop in. I know what I'm getting in, and you guys push. You know
what you can do in Calgary? You can actually do that in Calgary. If you ever go to you have done it. Where? Well, in Calgary.
In Calgary, I did it in the summer when you go down on, you know, you have that stick between your legs and you pull the stick, which is your brake. Yeah, I did it. I went down the mountain.
Yeah.
That's when I was a kid. I'm too scared to do it now.
The one I'm looking forward to besides curling is I love speed skating. Speed skating's insane.
Yeah, that is insane.
They put Bowie knives on their feet, and then they just basically do roller derby. I love speed skating.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah,
I'm so surprised and a little bit waiting for one guy to die speed skating. It's got to happen. I mean, maybe that's why I'm watching it subconsciously, because someone's going to get frickin' decapitated. It's happened in hockey. Why hasn't it happened in speed skating yet?
I need one of those outfits that they wear in speed skating.
No, you really don't. No,
Yeah,
you really don't. No, that'd be like 20 pounds of sausage and 10-pound casing. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see that.
With a tie around one end.
Exactly, that's right. Squished up on one end. Speaking of the Olympics, this idiotic story: Samsung demanding iPhone logos covered at the Olympics opening ceremony. Is this just one of the dumbest things you've heard a company doing?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty sad.
Why would you even bother to ask athletes to do this?
Well, what's kind of amazing about this is that, first of all, Samsung is giving all of the athletes a free phone.
Sure, it's a goodie bag. There's all kinds of stuff in the goodie bag.
Right. They clearly don't expect all of them to use it.
Yeah.
They're going to look at it and say, no, I'll take my iPhone. You know, and then to demand that they cover up the logo so that it's not seen on TV. And that's awful. Now,
first of all, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me from the point of view of, if they give you a Samsung phone and you use it, you're not going to use both phones. You're not going to have a phone in each hand.
Maybe. But I mean, think about it. This is the opening ceremony, so this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for most of these athletes.
Sure.
So to come out with two phones, pointed in each direction, why not?
All right.
I mean, really. But you're going to want to go out with something that you trust.
But it's. I get that some people have said, well, the athletes, the uniforms are provided by Polo, Ralph Lauren, or Nike, or Adidas, whoever the sponsor is, and they aren't allowed to wear the competing outfit. So you can't have your own hockey jersey that's got a Nike logo on it. You've got to wear the official uniform. But that's not like this. This is a gift that Samsung is giving to athletes. This is not a uniform.
This is kind of like if you were going to a battle of the bands and Fender is sponsoring it and Fender is giving every band a guitar, you're not allowed to bring your Gibson out on stage. Well, no.
Yeah.
Thanks for the guitar, and in this case, thanks for the phone, but no, I'll use my iPhone. Thanks.
If that's the case, should the athletes who aren't going to use it give it back?
No, it's a goodie bag. It's
exactly.
Part of what Samsung does. There's no need to give it back.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do what they want with it. They can give it away. They can throw it in the garbage. They can do what they want. But Samsung has no right to give a goodie bag and then say, oh, except for you can't have that.
Yeah, I think it's a dumb thing for the folks at Samsung to even ask the athletes. I think it's a non-story. I think it's just bad PR. It's someone at Samsung screwed up by making the request of the athletes, and they just end up embarrassing themselves.
Bad PR is some of the best stuff.
Oh yeah, it really is.
And like that thing today, when I saw that, I was giggling as I was posting it.
No.
Because it's just so horrendous that you just don't think of that. I mean, take the Grammys for instance. Everybody in the Grammys gets a goodie bag. The year that I went to the Grammys, I had backstage access, and I saw the area where all of the artists went, where they got their goodie bags, and I mean they were expensive stuff.
Oh yeah, the Oscars goodie bag last year was worth over $75,000.
Yeah, so these goodie bags aren't just oh, here's a piece of chocolate. It's really good stuff. Although they should give chocolate, because I'm not sure that the hotels will have it on the pillow.
Yeah, really.
But these are very expensive things. I mean, people that go to the Grammys, when I was there, that either played different instruments or used other products or endorsed other products, they didn't go in and say, and the company say, oh, you can't have that. You give them the goodie bag, and because everybody gets the same thing. So. Yeah, just terrible of Samsung.
As Monty says in the IRC chat room, the statement speaks to how little faith in their own brand product Samsung has, that they're afraid of people being seen using a competitor's product. Yeah. The other thing is something you sort of alluded to and hinted at, the fact that if the day before the Olympics you give me a brand new phone, I don't know how to use this thing. I have an iPhone. I know where the camera is on the iPhone. I know it's all set up for me. I don't have a Samsung contract. Has Samsung given me free minutes? So until you learn how to use it, it's the paperweight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
did you see that story from NBC about them getting instantly hacked the second they opened up their phone, their laptop, and their phone?
No.
Interesting story, if only because of the way it was edited. The folks at NBC showed how they bought a brand new MacBook Air and a brand new Android phone of some kind, hooked it up to the internet in Sochi, Russia, and the editing was kind of fishy, but they were hacked almost immediately.
Oh, I did see a headline that said, if you're in Sochi, you've already been hacked.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to read it, though. I thought that was funny.
It's an interesting story because this is something that's been known for China. If Rich Mogul, a guy that we talk to often about security, he will not take his devices into China when he goes. He will buy or use a burner phone or a brand new laptop, basically a throwaway Windows laptop. He says he'll buy a cheap $300 compact to go to China and leave it in the hotel room when he goes.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want anything to do with it. He leaves it for the hotel maid because he knows it's been hacked, it's been gone through. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But the worst part of that story had to be the guy, and Jim, you got to go watch this video. The guy from NBC News, who the only way to describe it was simply abused this poor video. This poor MacBook Air box. It's the most amazing piece of video I've seen. This guy does not know how to open up a MacBook Air box.
Oh my God.
It's really funny looking. He tears at it from the bottom, from the side. He rips the box apart. It's like he's never seen cellophane wrapping before. Because we all know how elegant the packaging is on Mac products. You take the plastic wrap off, and the box, the top of it just slides open like a box of chocolates. Yeah. Not this Neanderthal. He's literally shown ripping the side of the box apart to get at the MacBook Air. It's hilarious. It's so bizarre.
And it's this guy we're trusting to build the stories?
Exactly! Exactly! This Cro-Magnon can't open up a box, and yet he's the one telling us about how insecure things are in Sochi, Russia. I believe for a second, I believe completely that he got hacked because he didn't know how to protect himself from anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's wrap up. Let's wrap up with the story of the. Now you didn't see the Super Bowl, so you didn't. Did you see Apple's ad in the Super Bowl?
Well, they didn't have an ad in the Super Bowl.
They may have had an ad in the Super Bowl.
No, they didn't.
They didn't have one actually in the Super Bowl.
No. Well,
but they may have had an ad that they wanted to use for the Super Bowl. We all saw that 1-2-14 ad, which is a great ad that Apple posted the day after the Super Bowl. Don't you think it was kind of interesting that they posted it the day after the Super Bowl?
It is.
Why do you think they waited for the day after?
Maybe they ran out of money.
Apple. Apple ran out of money.
Maybe Tim took the $4 million home with him.
I
buy 30-second spot.
I talked to somebody who has been involved in the past in buying ad time on the Super Bowl. He says the ads are sold well in advance, usually at least 2 months in advance. But only the companies that give permission are announced. So if Fox, in this case, gets permission from Doritos to say Doritos is an advertiser in the Super Bowl, Fox will then put that in a press release. So it's possible that Apple could have bought ad space, but then sold it later on. They did do that for the 1984 ad. A lot of folks forget that Apple had intended the 1984 ad to be shown twice, once in the first half, once in the second half. But they didn't have any faith in the ad, so they sold that second spot on their own and got the money back for it. So My guy says it's possible that Apple bought an ad or ad time to place this ad in it, but then backed out at some point because they didn't think the ad was up to the standards of, say, 1984, and sold the ad space to another company. And then the day after the Super Bowl, posted that ad or that video on their website. You think that's plausible?
Yeah, it's plausible, but that was a pretty spectacular video, though.
I don't, you know what, that's interesting you say that. I don't think it was Apple Super Bowl worthy.
But to use iPhones and, I don't know.
I think that's why they did it, was because they wanted a Super Bowl ad. There's a lot of work that goes into this. You watch that behind, for those folks who are watching the video, you watch that behind the scenes video. That to me is more interesting than the ad. You watch and I'd love to hear more about the organizational aspect of this ad. Apple has a little bit about it on their website, but it looks remarkable, the technology they're using. It's really, really interesting. That to me is much more interesting than the ad itself. And maybe Apple thought the same thing, was that the ad just wasn't as good as the one. You look at people in that ad. Ridley Scott is in that ad. Lee Clow is in that ad. Lee Clow is the guy who came up with the original Super Bowl ad for TBWA Shy Day. And Lee hinted at something happening in the Super Bowl from Apple 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, and the day after, he seemed sad that something didn't play that he seemed to have been expecting that was going to play.
Well, anything's possible.
Yeah. Like I said, my guy has been involved in the past with Super Bowl ad buys, but he's not involved in this Super Bowl ad buy, so he doesn't know for sure. But he did say companies can buy ad space. See, I always thought that when a company bought ad space, then they would put out a press release and Fox News would broadcast it, and everyone would talk about it. But if a company wants it kept secret, they can buy ad space and keep it secret.
Which is clearly what Apple would do.
Which is what Apple would do. Yeah, Apple definitely wouldn't say anything ahead of time. Now, I think they'll get almost as much PR out of the ad as if they'd played it during the Super Bowl, but they went to an awful lot of effort for this ad to not be on the biggest ad buy day of the year.
Yeah.
And to put it out the day after the Super Bowl instead of waiting a month, there's no need for this ad to go out on Monday. They could have held this until another month without any problem at all. It wouldn't have made any difference at all. I think there's a story there that we're not hearing, that someone's not talking, and we'll probably never know the full story. But I do think there's something there, that there's some sort of a story there. At
some point when the ad guy leaves, we'll find out. He'll write a blog post about it.
Maybe Apple's pretty good at keeping things secret. Unlike our friends at Google, you posted a story. Can Google Glass get any creepier? I thought the idea of winking to take a picture was bad enough. I thought the idea, and now a developer has done this isn't Google Glass, but the idea that you could watch yourself having sex with Google Glass, that's the last thing in the world I want to see. And then you posted a story about a company called NameTag that in robo-like fashion, the app can scan a person's face and compare it to records database consisting of millions of people. Now, Google has said they won't let this happen.
Right.
But if the iOS can be hacked, Google OS can be hacked. If iOS can be jailbroken, Google can be jailbroken. This will get on Google Glass in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and that's creepy. Or Google's going to find a way to make money from it.
Yeah,
and then they'll do it.
That's right, exactly.
It's Google, no longer creepy because we can make $1 billion doing it.
Because we can advertise on it. But this is, I think, just another, in my opinion, nail in the coffin of Google Glass wide availability.
Yeah.
I will not let somebody anywhere near me with Google Glass. I will tell them to take it off.
Or break it.
Not turn it off. I'm telling you to take it off. I don't want that on your head while you're in my presence. And what I will do is, if you say no, if you're bigger than me, I will leave. If you're smaller than me, I will take it off you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I won't do that. But I will not be in the same room with someone who is got Google Glass on. I think it's a incredible invasion of privacy that I don't know what you're doing. You know, at least when you point an iPhone at me, I know you're probably taking a picture or video.
That's right.
When you are doing those other kinds of things with a video camera, I kind of know. You don't always know a Google Glass. Yeah, there's a light that comes on, but it's not good enough. I don't want Google Glass anywhere near me.
I agree.
So creepy is as creepy does. Google's a
There
creepy
you go.
company, and they allow creepy stuff. Folks, been talking to Jim Dalrymple from The Loop. He's got his own podcast. It's called Amplified. It's available on the iTunes Store and also at 5by5.tv. It's an award-winning talk show. Bullshit. What awards have you ever gotten? What award?
Apple.
What?
Apple gave us an award.
They didn't give you an award. They featured you on the iTunes Store. What award did they give you?
We were for Best Podcast 2013.
I need to see proof on that.
No. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Folks, I've been talking to Jim Dalrymple from The Loop. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Shawn.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You got to back that shit up, man. You can't just... Make sure I eject Jim out of here. How do I get rid of him? You sure you want to dump Jim? Yes. Block? I don't want to block him. All right, there we go. Yeah, I think the other thing is that I'm trying to see how I can talk about this Apple video. Remember, it wasn't an ad. It wasn't shown on TV. It wasn't shown as an advertisement. But I think that it was meant to be for the Super Bowl. But it was pulled by Apple because it just wasn't as good as Apple wants it to be. That's just my personal thought and impression and opinion. I'm going to take a small, short break. When we come back, we're going to do the interview with Brian Holmes of Pad and Quill. Brian was kind enough to do an interview with me yesterday, so we're going to talk to him about the Pad and Quill cases, product, and company. This is your Mac Life.
Your Mac Life.
Hey folks, this is Shawn King from Your Mac Life. I'm on the phone now with Mr. Pad and Quill, Brian Holmes. Brian, how are you?
Good, Shawn. Nice to be here.
Thanks very much for joining me. We've been trying to do this for a while now. I've been, as you know, and as the audience knows, I'm a big fan of Pad and Quill, the company, and Pad and Quill, the products. Pad and Quill, QUILL.com is the website. It's a great name for the website. Where did that name come from?
You know, it was something that my wife and I had talked about. We were the ones, she helped me kind of found the company in 2010, and it was kind of one of those things where I couldn't decide what, I wanted to tie old and new together. So I was thinking, well, the iPad is new, it's new technology, and something old that would tie it together, and she came up with the name Quill. I said, how about Pad, we talked about it, we're like, how about Pad and Quill? Because it brings kind of old style bookbindery artisanship to a new device. And so that's kind of where the name came from.
I think to me that's the key for Pad and Quill, and as always, correct me if I'm wrong, that word's one single word, artistry. What were you doing before you started Pad and Quill? I get a sense that there was some sort of connection with what you're doing now with what you're doing before.
Yeah, that's funny. I spent 17 years as a painting contractor. I painted walls.
Okay, so I was wrong.
Well, hang on. Wait a second. There was some artistry there. Wait for the end of the story.
Okay.
About the last 8 years of that career, I actually got into artistic finishing. So I got into a lot of, like creating aged woodwork and doing all kinds of really cool stuff with people's cabinetry and making brick walls that weren't really made of brick. That we'd emulate them, doing murals, stuff like that. So we got in some really fun artistic work. But in about 2008, I got out of that and started a different company, or got involved with a different company before I got into Pat and Quill.
So it sounds like you were.
Yeah, but that's kind of my background, where you get the artistry, and then my wife has done some playwriting and some writing. So Carrie is also she appreciates artistry. Best way to put it.
It must have been a huge leap of faith, both on your part and obviously your loving wife's part, to go from painting walls and forging brick into this whole other company doing this whole other thing in a whole other way. I mean, there are easier ways to make iPad cases and to make messenger bags, and we know lots of companies who do it the easy way. Why did you guys decide to do it the hard way?
Well, yeah, and it was actually not. I'll tell you our story.
Yeah.
When I got out of painting, we decided I got into a startup company, which is kind of ironic. I think you'll enjoy this. I got into a startup company that was involved with geolocation.
Okay.
Parentheses iBeacon, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He had invented a form of iBeacon.
Wow. 4 years ago.
This was so this was in about 2008. And what happened is it didn't really go anywhere. I spent about a year and a half in that company trying to help him, because I had wanted to get out of painting, because I just had passions beyond painting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put it that way. And I wanted to help him, so I got involved, and it didn't go anywhere. And it started to crash in about early 2010, where it was like we thought we had some big deals. They fell through. All of a sudden, my income is getting very tight to very poor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I can't go back to painting because I sold my painting company. So it's like those classic, I burned the ship once we arrived. And so I really actually had nowhere to go. And I saw, and I tell people this, and they're like, really, you're going to admit that? I'm like, yeah, I saw Dodo Caves. And I saw what they were doing.
Yep.
And I said, and our comment was, well, let's do it better.
Mm.
And they're not doing it for iPhones.
Yep.
And they're not doing it for a whole bunch of other stuff. And I looked at it, and I looked at my wife, and I'm like, we should look at this. There's something here. So I started investigating and started looking at a local book bindery that needed work, was really slow, and got involved with some CNC people. And we scraped together. We didn't have a lot of money. I got 4 kids. We needed to feed them. I had about $1,200, and we painted our web designer's deck for outside deck. I painted her deck. She built the website, and we set up a free PayPal account. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's free to get a business account at PayPal.
Yep.
I won't tell you what they do once you start making money. They start getting nervous. They start holding your money. But
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we started. And we built 4 prototypes and launched the site in, I think it was June 20th of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our story, and that's how this whole thing started. And it was one of those things where, we strove after trying to make really good, high-quality products. Yeah. And our first iPad cases, oh my word, yeah, they were bricks. They were. I love my early customers, but they know that they were bricks. They were kind of heavy, but as we refined over time, and as we learned the market, we started obviously updating. But one thing led to another. We just started marketing ourselves. We started talking to whoever would listen about our cases, and we got picked up early by Wired. Charlie Sorrell and CNET, Dan Ackerman over there. So it's been a crazy journey, to say the least. But yeah, that's kind of our beginnings.
I'm talking to Mr. Pad and Quill, Brian Holmes. The website is padandquill.com. The decision to make these in the high end kind of makes sense, because you're a smart guy. You recognize that Apple shoots for that market. Apple's customers are probably that market, so you went after the folks with money, which makes perfect sense. The decision to make them in this kind of way, though, I think is very interesting, too. The fact that you guys are using, as you described, bookbinding techniques, and I don't know what that is. All I know is I like the Pad and Quill cases. Explain to the audience how bookbinding fits in with a Pad and Quill case.
Yeah, and I think bookbindery or the bookbindery industry was something that I think Dodo Case, and I don't mean to be a commercial for them, but honestly, we do have a high respect for them. They showcased that in San Francisco there was not. That was an art of bindery books that it's on the decline because of digital books, and so we have the same problem here in Minneapolis. I mean, we have binderies here that are on the decline, and so there's a tradition of bookbinder. There used to be at the University of Minnesota. I think there still are, but it's very small classes on how to bind books, and it's a very old art, and that's pulls into our brand because it's this old art combined with new like CNC work. So we CNC cut, down to 1/4000th of an inch our wood.
Explain to the audience. Sorry, Brian. Explain to the audience what a CNC cut is.
So a CNC is it's like the best way to describe it is a three-dimensional saw, and it can cut a perfect, basically a reverse image of an iPad in a piece of wood that you can stick the iPad right in. They're amazing machines. They're computer controlled, but they allow us to do some pretty amazing stuff with our products. So I think that combination of kind of old school traditional bookbindery methods combined with this brand new, especially in 2010 when it was really hot, the new technology, the iPad. It was just really cool bringing it together, and that's clearly where the name came in. To expand on that a little bit for you too, we moved away. We do have a ton of work we do in our bindery work. It's one of our biggest cases is the Contega for the iPad Air right now, but we also do a lot of work with leather goods now. And about 2 years ago, I reached out to a pretty well-known brand that does leather bags. Let me just say that they have a 100-year warranty on their bags.
We know the company, yes.
Yeah, and I started asking them, hey, where do you guys get this done? Your work is amazing. You guys are amazing. And they kind of helped us, and we started working with a manufacturer in Mexico to start working on leather goods. And so we started bringing in leather goods that were amazingly made by the same people that make that company's bags, and they're well stitched. We use the best leathers we can find. And what I learned in my trips down to Mexico was I started realizing, wow, there's a huge artisanship here. Like there's generations of these people's dads worked with leather. Like this is it's an amazing community in this city. It's about 2 hours outside of Mexico City, down the southern part of Mexico. And so we started offering all these leather goods. About 2 years ago, we started with a little pocket book for the iPhone 5, and that actually became our biggest selling product we have. And again, that ties into our brand in that it has this old school craftsmanship of leather, yet we combine it with an iPhone. It's a wallet case, but it's like no other wallet case because it has wood, leather mixed together. So, and
that's something else that has to be a concern for you guys too, is the quality of the workmanship. If I'm paying $5 for a cheap plastic iPhone case and it breaks or I lose it, I don't really care. If I'm paying upwards of $50 to more for a case, it better be of damn good quality, because I will bitch a fit if that thing breaks or isn't what I expected to be. So you get added pressure on you because of that.
And they're really, and here's what we tell folks who get sometimes things break in our product.
Sure.
And we always take care of people. But what's interesting, what we tell them is they're very expensive to make too.
That's right.
They're not just they're very expensive to make. Our bags are not. We're not charging some ridiculous margin on the bags, for example, or even some of our iPhone cases. They cost a lot to make because they're very unique. And so, there is that expectation. I mean, because one of our popular iPhone cases goes for $90.
Yep.
And people buy it regularly,
sure.
$90, and it costs a lot to make it. So,
That's the luxury
But yeah,
pocketbook. That's the luxury pocketbook for the iPhone 5 and 5S. Folks, we're talking to Mr. Pat and Quill, Brian Holmes. patandquill.com is the website. Now, you talk about how expensive this stuff is to make. You also mentioned Mexico. I just did a quick search. You guys are based in lovely Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was there many, many years ago. It is now in Minneapolis 11 degrees.
Let's not really talk about that, Joe.
It's now 77 in Mexico City. Why wouldn't you move to Mexico City?
Yeah. No, you should be asking me is why am I not moving to Northern California?
But that's part of the question. Why? I know you probably because you guys live and are born and raised in Minneapolis, but why is the company still, after all these years, based in Minneapolis? What's that special about Minneapolis for you guys?
Yeah, Carrie and I grew up here.
Okay.
Our bindery, who does all of our bindery work, is in St. Paul, which is the sister city to Minneapolis. Yeah. So that's why our home base is right here. The majority of our products that we do out of the bindery come from St. Paul. So yeah, that's why we're here. This has been one of the most brutal winters in Minnesota. They've been probably the last 20 years. We actually can barely get above zero for the last about 5 weeks. Yep. So. Yeah, it's been nasty.
Welcome to Canada.
Where are you out of?
I'm presently right now out of Vancouver, British Columbia, where it's balmy and warm all the time. But I was born and brought up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which had the traditional Canadian winter. We were joking a couple weeks ago when they were talking about the polar vortex. That's called a cold snap in Canada. We didn't have to rename it something. It's just a cold snap, It
is. Well, you'll be happy to hear, Shawn. My mom is from Winnipeg.
Oh, is she? Wow, Winterpeg.
Yes,
oh, my God. A hardy woman.
That's very cold as well. So.
Well, you saw the story late last year that at one point it was literally colder in Winnipeg than it was on the surface of Mars.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, in Winnipeg, if you've been to Winnipeg, it's not exactly the most interesting city in Canada. No offense.
No offense taken. People in Winnipeg don't take offense. They know, but the people are lovely. The town, boring as hell.
Yeah, pretty flat.
Let's talk about the actual products that you guys, the actual construction of these devices. You guys use a particular kind of wood in these, not just sustainable and responsibly sourced. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But why this kind of birch?
Well, Baltic birch has kind of it emulates pages to us. It looks like a book when it's closed from a distance because it looks like the pages of a book. So we really like that look on the outside.
Okay.
Not to mention, Baltic birch is when it comes to wood frames for iPad cases, it's pretty strong. Mm. Bamboo is also strong, but it's about the same. Baltic birch is similar to bamboo. I mean, any of them, you drop them hard enough, they're going to break.
Sure.
But they're, it's a pretty strong wood. Plus, and this is the part where my painting background comes in. I'm a finisher by trade, and so we finish all these products. So you don't just get a bare piece of wood; you get a very finished product.
Sure.
And it finishes really beautifully. Looks really nice.
Yeah, I really like it. I didn't know what kind of wood it was, but I know when I opened up the case
Russian,
that you guys...
It's all Russian. Yep, Russian Baltic birch.
Now,
it's very plentiful.
Is that the name of Is that the name of the tree, or is that where it comes from?
It's where it comes from. It's a Baltic. It comes from the Baltic region.
You all have trees in Minnesota, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have plenty of them, but nothing. I don't think anything quite like Russia does. So.
Really?
Yeah, they have. Well, it's the largest supplier of Baltic birch. I mean, obviously, because it's all Baltic, it's the largest supplier of birch in the world is from Russia.
So it's cheaper to source it from the Russians than it is to cut down a tree in your backyard?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. In fact, it's very difficult to buy Baltic birch just birch that's plywood that's U.S. made. So U.S. is known for a lot of pine and things like that, but we don't. I'm not a forestry expert, but yeah.
How many different kinds of wood did you go through before you settled on Russian Baltic birch?
That's funny. One.
Really? Your first one. Nice.
Keep that nice and boring. Yeah, because, keep in mind in 2010, at the time, I needed something I knew was going to work. I needed something I knew was going to look right, and we didn't have time to experiment or test. I was like, no, we got to go with something I know is going to work. It's going to be strong. It's going to be beautiful if we finish it. And because of my painting background, I just knew, I was like, I think Baltic birch is going to be, you know, perfect. So yeah, that's. We've looked at other woods, but again, it's not as strong.
Yeah.
We've even looked at some composites. We actually looked at a composite made of recycled paper.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that they take like hundreds of pieces of paper and compress them under tremendous weight, and they use it for countertops.
Wow.
And we've looked at that as a way we could actually cut product out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool product, recycled product, but it's really expensive, and we're still debating how it would work. So yeah.
You stick with the wood. I like the wood.
Yeah.
I
I agree with you.
One of the things that you make very obvious on the website, padandquill.com, is that you do things, as it's described, responsibly sourced. Now, a lot of folks may not know what that is or even care. Why bother with responsibly sourced? Explain to the audience why that's part of your company philosophy.
Yeah, that's a good question. Anytime you're doing any type of out-of-country sourcing, so whether it's for labor or anytime you're looking at materials that you're using, for Carrie and I, it's always been really important that we're doing it responsibly.
Wow.
It's just part of our ethics.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, responsibly, meaning is fair wages being paid?
Mm.
Is the tree renewable? Is it a renewable resource? Is it something that the industry is replanting to sustain for the next generation of folks? So we know that Baltic birch is a very good sustainable product. It's renewable. It's being well managed, and there's a lot of documentation to that fact.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to our labor, for example, in Mexico, the factory that we're working with, they're paid 1.5 times the current rate.
Mm-hmm.
And they have very good health assistance and health care there. It's a nationalized health care, but this company actually goes beyond and helps them if there's any issues with it being too slow at the for the healthcare system. Mm-hmm. for employees. So I've seen some really amazing things. Plus, I got to know the owners of that factory to understand how do they treat their employees.
Sure.
So for us, yeah, that's a big thing for Carrie and I. We want to make sure that whoever we're working with, they're really taking care of their people, and whatever materials we're working with are done in a responsible way.
So the leather, for example, wouldn't be the typical leather process. You guys are using the vegetable tanning?
Yeah, so we're using, and we're working with a tannery in Mexico that's actually it was voted I think it was the top 2 greenest tanneries in the world. As far as how they deal with all their chemicals, how they recycle everything. If you're a vegan or something, you probably aren't. I'm never going to win you over. But
That's right.
Because these are cows, I assure you, they were cows. Let's just say they were cows. The interesting thing too is that most of the cows come from the U.S. Most of in fact, all of our cases that we're using, all of that leather is actually American hide, because it's a better hide.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
You've got some beautiful products on the website, folks. Talking to Brian Holmes of padandquill.com, padandquill.com. Some gorgeous product. One of the things that you say in the video, which I really like, is that you want to make products that people will ask me about. And it's so true. I've never had anyone ever, all the hundreds and hundreds of iPhone cases I've had over the years, I've never had anyone ever ask me about my iPhone case before, but I'll be sitting in a Starbucks with the Pad and Quill case, and someone will walk over and go, "Is that a little tiny book?" And I want to tell you the story. I messed with a woman in an office I did some work for who I really disliked, and she said, "Is that a little book?" And I looked at her dead seriously and said, "Yes, it's my tiny Bible." And she left me alone. She just wouldn't mess with me from then on in.
Yeah, I'll bet she did.
If I'm walking around with a little tiny Bible, but that's something.
We've actually heard that.
Yeah, because that's what it could be. It's something you say. I hear your wife say in the video that you want to inspire your sense of authenticity, and that's not just marketing bump from you guys. That's actually how and why some of your products are informed by this kind of sensibility that you want to inspire people. You don't want to just make an iPhone case or a messenger bag. You want something that's interesting and that's clever and that people can be proud of.
Yeah, that's really important to us. And I think a great example of that is we are working on a product that uses a 3M sticky. It's called the Bellafino. And you could stick your iPhone in there, and it sticks in, and you can take it out, and it'll stick back again. And we did some tests with it, and we were using it, and no one asked us about that case at all, ever, when we're out in public. It just doesn't happen. It's a beautiful case, and it's awesome. It's really thin, super light, and all that. But it's not ever talked about by anyone else. If I bring one of our cases that have wood in them, it's automatic we get compliments or get conversations. So last fall when we launched our new iPhone cases, we had a part of our marketing was the wood matters.
Yeah, sure.
And what we were saying is that it truly does matter, because you do need some sort of to inspire someone. You need to create a product that has something very unique in it. Same with our bags. I mean, we have a real cherry wood tag in the front of our bag that's etched with our mark on it, our Pad and Quill logo, and it's real cherry wood, and it's definitely something you don't see every day, sewn into leather. And we do that because we were like, it needs to be different. It needs to really speak to that organic aspect of our products that we love. So,
I wonder how much of it is. This is just my personal feeling about it, is that we don't have enough wood in our lives. If we're geeks, we're surrounded by silicon and metal and plastic and glass, and there's not enough wood, even if it's subconscious. I'm sitting here now holding the Pad and Quill case and caressing, maybe the wrong word, but certainly touching the wood in the Pad and Quill
alone.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. But I think that's part of it. I don't think we have enough natural products in our lives, and there's some sort of animal hindbrain to us that needs and wants that, which is why we like leather couches, and we like leather satchel bags, and we like products like this. I think that's part of why I personally like the Pad and Quill cases.
Yeah, thank you, and I think that's true. I mean, I think that I had a friend one time say that, what does the Cartella case do for the MacBook Air? Well, it's unique in that it creates a laptop stand for it, and it looks like a portfolio you can put around your MacBook Air. But what really stands out is that there's this wood cradle that holds your MacBook Air. And a friend of mine said, you know what it is? It brings some soul to a very cold stainless steel type of device.
Sure.
Because if you pick up a laptop, especially Apple laptops, they're cold when you pick them up. They're metal, And so I think there is some, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong. They're beautiful. They're beautifully designed. Apple makes amazing stuff. I'm just saying that I think that there is some folks like to bring some warmth into that experience, and I think our products. That's the niche we definitely seem to fit into.
And the other idea of it is that it's just something different. It's just not the same old, same old. I'm looking now on the website, padandquill.com, for your author series for the iPad Air. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous binding covers on these things that just absolutely. You say they're custom built and therefore not refundable. You guys are custom hand making these individual iPad cases, aren't you?
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, the author series is fun. I get to talk up Tamara. Tamara Ryan is a friend of ours. She's a photographer and an artist, and she helped us come up with 5 new screen-printed patterns for the cases. And then what we do is we combine her patterns with a whole bunch of colors you can choose from. And you basically just build your own case. You can build it any way you want, and we call it the author series because it's like you write your own story. And I will note, I always feel like in some of the people here joke to me about this, we're taking a design risk when we do this.
Sure.
Because you can design some fairly odd looking cases, if you want, out of our author series, but that's okay. We're willing to take that risk so people can kind of own their case. Yeah, we do that for the iPad Air and the iPad Mini right now.
I'm noticing that as we go through the categories on your website, patandquill.com, the only non-Apple product that you make anything for is the Kindle. And
Yeah.
have you had requests for other products or Pad and Quill cases for Samsung or for other phones or other machines? And you have.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I see them on your website?
Yeah, so we just did market research. And the more market research we do, and the more we look at the volumes, because of the cost of development, a lot of these products, it just right now we don't see a clear leader when it comes to tablets other than Apple.
Yeah.
We watched a study that came out in January that said I think it was about 83%, 84% of all shopping in December on tablets was done on iPad.
Wow.
And I think Microsoft's what's that called? The Microsoft Surface
Yep.
was like 3%.
Yeah.
You know, so when we see things like that, we're just like, no, we're just going to stick to what we know. Plus, we have Apple loyal people that, buy our stuff. So we want to be careful that we're not making offended. I don't want to jump too far into Samsung right now because I think they're kind of copycat, Frank. I hope I don't offend too many of your folks here, but I do. I think Samsung's a bit of a copycat of everything Apple's doing. And so I'm not sure how much we want to put our brand along with them right now. So,
what I think the most important.
We get a lot of requests for the S4 and the S5 Galaxy.
Yeah.
The S5 that's coming. So.
And I got to believe that there's at least one product on your website that's got to be either an April Fool's joke that's left over from last April or a new April Fool's joke. I'm looking at the littlest black book case for the iPod Nano.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that was fun.
You got a Pad and Quill case for the Nano?
Yeah.
That's just goofy.
Yeah. So was that early 2012? Yeah, in early 2012, the iPad 3 had just come out. We had been joking about this idea. And so we actually made a little prototype that fit a Nano, the old Nano, the little, looked like a postage stamp Nano.
Yeah. And
we decided it looked so hilarious we had to do it. So what we did is we made a full-blown video.
Yeah.
So it looked like we were dead serious about this new product that we'd forgotten about for touch products.
Yeah.
And released it on April 1st as a Kickstarter. We actually launched a Kickstarter campaign on April 1st. And the Kickstarter got funded. I think our funding goal was only like $5,000, and we got like $8,000. And we built, I don't know how many, a couple hundred of them and sent them out. It was pretty funny.
God, that's hilarious.
But it was a pure marketing move, but they are hilarious. I'm actually looking at one right now.
It is a very funny little idea, yeah. My friend Mosquito and favored listener of Your Mac Life will be very happy to see that you have a little black book for the iPod Touch. That can't be very popular, though, is it?
It's not. It used to be.
Yeah.
It has really gone down, actually, so we don't make as many anymore. Just because the iPhone is just too cheap not cheap and made, just it's very affordable to buy an iPhone now. So, no, we don't sell too many of them. No, most of our products are focused around iPhones, iPads, and then obviously the new bag and sleeves that we're doing. So
one final question. This is a personal question. It's been driving me nuts. I'm so happy to finally get you on the phone, folks. Been talking to Brian Holmes of padandquill.com. On the little black book that I have, there is a red tag on the bottom of it. Is that some secret tag that I pull on and magic happens? Because nothing happens when I pull on the damn. What the hell is a tag for, dude?
So all of our cases, you have an iPhone 5?
Yes, 5S.
Yeah, so all of our cases have a bookmark that you can remove your device with, except the iPhone 5.
Oh.
And we got a lot of, and the bookmark was kind of our thing. It was kind of our, it was just very different, and it was fun because it looks like a little bookmark.
Yep.
And so they're behind every iPad case you buy from us. We couldn't put it into the iPhone 5 because we found a very special birch that was thin enough, and it's a birch you can only get out of one place in New York, we found out, that sources it for a certain industry. And so we bought this special birch, and there just isn't enough room to stick it underneath the iPhone. So we thought, well, we still have to have something that's, you know, kind of as it winks to our old bookmark.
Yeah.
So that's the idea.
That's what it is. It's supposed to be functional, but it's not.
You're right. It's very decorative. It's not exactly functional.
When I first got it and pulled it out, I'm pulling this thing going, well, this is broken. But
yeah,
that's
going to do you no good, I assure you, Shawn. So, yeah.
You can also, folks, for those folks who maybe look at these things for presents or graduation gifts or that kind of stuff, the season is coming up. You can also add personalization to your Pad and Quill cases. What kind of personalization can I get on a pocketbook for the iPhone?
Yeah, so we're offering initials. Basically, you can do initials across any of our products now.
Okay.
So all of our products offer a three-letter initial to personalize it, whether it's an author series or a little black book or a Contega. All of them can be personalized.
Be a nice little touch for a graduate this coming spring.
Yep.
Folks, I've been talking to Brian Holmes of Pad and Quill. Brian, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it. As I said before, I'm a big fan of your stuff and the quality of the workmanship and the material and the idea behind the company. So I'm very happy that you fit time in for me on your busy schedule. Oh, yeah, Shawn. No, it's been great to visit with you and your audience. So I appreciate the time. Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been talking to Brian Holmes of padandquill.com. Thanks for doing this, Brian. Appreciate it. Okay, bye-bye. Done. Hang on.
Your Mac Life.
Welcome back, folks. I want to say thanks very much to Brian Holmes of Pad and Quill for doing the interview with me. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Go to the website, padandquill.com is the website. I got an email from Gary Apter during the interview. Gary was asking about this book. He was asking the name. It's called Understanding Exposure by a guy named Brian Peterson. We were talking about it on last week's show. It's probably one of the best books for a beginning photographer to learn about exposure, what it is in very clear, easy to understand language with some beautiful pictures in it. So if you are a beginning photographer or know a beginning photographer, definitely get this book. Go to our website, yourmaclifeshow.com. Click on one of our Amazon.com links there on the left-hand side, and if you buy the book by Amazon.com, we get a bit of a kickback here on Your Mac Life. So that's good for anything you guys buy at Amazon.com. So please do that whenever you're Amazon.com shopping. Next, remember, don't forget, March 19th, 2014 will be the 20th anniversary of Macintosh Internet Broadcasting. We're going to be doing a big show on that day. We're going to be giving away a bunch of prizes. I want to say thanks so far to the companies who have gotten involved. So far, we've been, folks at Pad and Quill are giving us a couple of little black books for the iPhone 5 and 5S to give away. Glovely is giving away their classic touchscreen gloves. Smile Software is giving away a PDF Pen family pack and a text expander pack for Mac and iOS. Tidbits is giving away a 1-year subscription to their entire Take Control library. Mac Fun is giving away 3 creative kits. It's a bundle consisting of Snap Heal and Intensify Pro, 2 great apps I use all the time. Scotty Vest is giving away one of their pack jackets. Danny Plus is giving away a wallet case. And Pixelmator is giving away copies of Pixelmator, a great image editing software. So those and more companies will be coming. So stay tuned to that. You have to go to the website at yourmaclifeshow.com. Very top of the page, you will see a link to the Friends of Your Mac Life show contest entry form. You click on the top of that and fill a little form. It'll send me an email, and that email will then get dropped into our virtual hat so you guys can be involved in that. But you can remember, you have to do it at the beginning of each month. For each month of the year, you have to redo that. If you'd like to subscribe to Your Mac Life, and believe me, I would appreciate it greatly if you did, you can subscribe at $2, $5, $10, $15, whatever amount of money you would like to come out of your major credit card or PayPal account each month, and I'll put your name in the virtual hat on your behalf. You don't have to worry about it or do anything else. I'll do it all for you. The SIGs are home making supper, so it's time for me to go. Folks, I want to say thanks to you guys for being tuned in here live. I always appreciate the live listeners being tuned in the IRC chat room or wherever you are listening in, or to all you folks who tune in via the archive. Appreciate it. As always, email us to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Until next week, as always, folks, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!